Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we are finally talking about MotoGP 22. It's finally been announced today. Seems to follow the same pattern it has the last few years. Towards the end of February they put out an announcement trailer, and it always seems to be on a Thursday as well. I think Milestone always seem to announce games on a Thursday. Not sure particularly why that is, but that seems to be the general pattern. But yeah, we've finally got a MotoGP 22 announcement trailer. It's quite short, as you can see. It's only 51 seconds, because more of the information we're going to be talking about in this video is actually from the website, because we're not showing a lot in this trailer. It's all cinematics, so there's no actual gameplay, and there's only really a couple of things touched on in the trailer. So I'm just going to point out a couple of interesting things from there. I will leave a link to the full trailer below, so you can go and watch that. I'm not going to be watching the full thing here. I'll just be stopping at a few points and talking about a couple of different things, and then we'll go onto the website and start talking about what's listed there. So the first point I'm stopping is here. You can see we're already 24 seconds in, because up until that point it's just been cinematics. The first important thing to focus on here is 2009. So it seems like a really random addition that they've added the 2009 season. We will talk about this a little bit more later, because they do actually dwell on it, because when I first watched the trailer I was a bit confused to why they just decided to add the 2009 season. And to a certain extent, I still am. Why 2009, I don't know, because there's not really any significance to that year. I guess it was the last Valentino Rossi title, so potentially that's what it is. I guess that kind of makes sense, because obviously Rossi's just retired. But yeah, it does seem like a random year to pick out, because it's not like it was 10 years ago or anything like that, because it was like 13 years ago. So yeah, it was a little bit weird. But yeah, it seems like they're adding the whole 2009 season, all the riders and bikes, and I think also the tracks as well. But we'll come back onto that a little bit later. But you can see, obviously, here there is the 2009 bikes. So the only other really important thing from the trailer is the actual release date itself. It's 21st of April, so actually a couple of days earlier than it's been the last few years. Obviously, it's always been sort of 20-something of April, but I think it was the 23rd, 24th, something like that in 2021, but 21st this year, so not quite as long to wait. A few days less for MotoGP 22, but that's pretty much all it is from the actual announcement trailer. It was all just cinematic footage if you actually gone and watched it. So basically, they're adding the 2009 season, which we will talk about a little bit more in a minute. And then the game is coming out on the 21st of April. So we'll head over to the website now. You can see, obviously, the release date is right here. So we could have just gone on the website, to be honest, because there's more information here anyway. I have got to say, the concept art for this is pretty cool. So we'll start looking at some of the information. So we've got the official MotoGP Championship 2022. Well, that's to be expected, isn't it, really? For the MotoGP 22 game, it's not really a selling point particularly. But there's going to be over 120 riders. So there was something I was thinking when I saw this 2009 season. Are they removing all the other historic riders? And that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to be there's still going to be over 70 historic riders. I'm not sure how many are in the game right now. Probably around about 50 or so. So I think this is in addition to what is already there. I think there is a couple of 2009 riders anyway, but I think this 2009 season is not replacing the historic content. It's an additional bit of content, so that's good. 20 plus official racetracks. Well, we have that in the current game anyway, but as far as I'm aware, I think they're adding some more tracks as well for the 2009 season. I think we're going to have all the 2009 tracks, so that'd be cool. Indianapolis, Estoril, those kind of circuits that are not in the game anymore. I'm trying to think of any others that got taken off the calendar since then. Those are the only two really that spring to mind from back then. Obviously, a lot of them are the same. Probably means we're going to get old school Catalunya back as well. Obviously, they had that a few years ago and then took it out, so we'll probably get that old version of Catalunya back. Yeah, I can't really think of any other circuit that's been removed, so probably a couple of circuits there, because obviously Laguna Seca was on that calendar, but we had that already. Donington Park as well. We already have both those tracks in the current game, and obviously Brno, so I can't really think of any other tracks that have been removed other than those tracks are already there and the two I just listed. So we might be getting another two tracks there, it seems like. So that'd actually be a pretty decent number of circuits. All the classes and rosters, well, again, that's not really a selling point, because that's to be expected. Really, if you want to put your selling point is tell us when the official liveries will be added, because let's be honest, it's going to launch with the 2021 liveries for most of the bikes. It has the last few years. Yeah, we've got more real than ever. Amazing new features bring the game to the next level to test your skills and even more challenging and exciting races. Obviously, that's a bit vague, but there's going to be new features. That's always good, because there wasn't really any new features from MotoGP 20 to 21, aside from the bike retrieval, of course. Obviously, they made a big deal about the suspension and the brakes, but the brake heating and stuff, yeah, I mean, it's in the game, but it never really changed the game too much, particularly. You could overheat your brakes, and I have suffered that a few times, and if you have cold brakes, they don't work too well, but on the whole, the brake disc thing didn't really make much of a difference. The suspension physics, yeah, probably just made the physics more realistic, but you got used to it after a while anyway, so it didn't really feel any different. So there wasn't really any massive changes from 20 to 21. So hopefully there is going to be some more decent features, but of course we'll have to find out about them. I'm sure they'll be revealing them as they go along, like they usually do the last few years. Yeah, learn the basics and perfect your style. So they're adding something new with the tutorial. It's the MotoGP Academy, where you'll learn the tricks to be the fastest on track. Well, again, that's not really the kind of thing particularly that I'll be interested in, because obviously I've been playing the games for the last 10 years at least. Some of you guys, maybe if you're brand new to the MotoGP game, if you've never played a MotoGP game before, this might apply to you. You might like to try and learn a few things about the game. It requires a day one patch, apparently. Again, that's kind of a given for a lot of things. Managerial career, again, that's a bit of something that was already there. I mean, I suppose they're trying to sell this to someone that's not bought the game before, so they're telling you all the features. But managerial career, think fast and race smart. The managerial career is back, improved and enhanced to let you take full control of your gaming experience, create your own team or join an official one, choose your staff and develop the bike. You can also create a junior team in Moto 2 and Moto 3, hire a team manager, technical director and rider, and start your path to the championship. So yeah, managerial career sounds like to me then there's not going to be any changes to career mode, which is a shame, because it was the exact same in 21 as it was in 20. And obviously 20 added the custom teams and obviously the junior academy stuff. So that was quite cool that they added that in MotoGP 20. But there's obviously the third year running now where the career mode is going to be the exact same. So that's going to be a bit of a shame. And obviously if you take away those managerial elements, so if you just sign for official teams, the career mode's been the same since MotoGP 19. So it would be nice if they shake up the career mode, but obviously they're not doing that for this game. Maybe MotoGP 23. The best of MotoGP history. So yeah, like we said earlier, take a dip into the past with more than 70 historic champions. And then this is a bit more about this 2009 thing. So this is what I was on about, where we were going to be coming back to it later on. So 9 season 2009. Put yourself in the boots of legends such as Rossi, Lorenzo, Stoner and Pedrosa at the peak of their MotoGP careers. So again, that kind of does make a little bit more sense, because I suppose 2009, 2010 was peak era for those sort of 4 riders. So that's probably why they kind of went for that. And live again one of the most exciting and iconic championships in MotoGP history. Over 50 minutes of real footage narrated by Mark Neal, director of the best MotoGP documentaries, with 17 chapters, one for each Grand Prix of the 2009 season, with different challenges to face. So this is what I mean about adding the extra tracks. There's one for each race of the season, so you'd imagine that they have actually added all of the tracks. So we're going to get Indianapolis and Estoril, for example. Obviously, they already will have had to make Estoril because they're making a World Superbike game. But if you didn't know about that, you can check out the channel. There is a video talking about that announcement, but obviously that's unrelated to this. But having read all this, it now makes a lot more sense why they just seemingly picked a random season, because it's the peak of some of the best riders in MotoGP history. I mean, they were calling the aliens at the time, so it makes a bit more sense now why they've picked that season. And in a way, they've kind of done historic events. They've done real events like they used to have in the old games. So this is really, really cool. I'm quite excited for this, because real events was something I always really loved. Every year I was going about how I hope they add more real events, or I hope they added more historic challenges and stuff like that. And, I mean, they completely removed historic challenges from MotoGP 21 for some reason, which just made the bikes kind of pointless for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't really particularly think, oh, I'm just going to go ride the 500s today or whatever. Like, I'll do it if it's a challenge or something, but when there's no reward for it, I'd just much rather ride the modern bikes, to be honest. So, yeah, they kind of made the historic bikes a little bit pointless in MotoGP 21, but it seems like with this 9 season 2009, there's at least be a reason to play with the historic bikes, at least for a little bit. So on to the next bit here, we've got customize your bike, personalize your whole experience in the MotoGP video game, and bring your own style to the track thanks to 5 powerful graphic editors. You'll be able to customize every part from the liveries to the suits of the riders. So you can finally change the suits, it seems. Now, quite how that will work, maybe you'll be able to customize the suit within your own custom team. I can't imagine that the licensing would allow for the players to be able to edit the official team suits. Maybe you could add your own logo in different places. So if you were riding for, well, actually I was going to say if you were riding for Suzuki, you could have it up at the top like they do in real life, but they've actually moved it back to the bottom anyway now in 2022. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but perhaps you could move around your sort of personal stickers on the leathers. Not too sure, that's all we have to say about this part. 5 powerful graphics editors, so I assume it's all the ones we've got with the suits on top, with the helmet, the stickers, the number, and the boot patch, and then maybe the suits then on top of that, so you can sort of place it. So yeah, I imagine those will be the 5 graphic editors, but of course they didn't say, so obviously I'm not really 100% sure. The most realistic game experience, new animations, enhanced 3D models, from the faces of your heroes to restyling the official pits, every detail has been taken care of like never before. So You can see here we've got a picture, well, not a picture, sorry, a video of Davide Tardozzi, and his model does look a lot more realistic than the previous games. The face models have always kind of been a bit creepy, quite poor for some of them as well. Like, some of the riders look nothing like their real-life versions, so yeah, it'd be cool to see an improvement. It also says resign in the official pit, so perhaps we'll finally get new pit boxes, because obviously the pit boxes have been the same since MotoGP 18. That'd be an interesting little thing. Obviously not a massive thing, because a lot of people won't notice it, but it's always nice for when they add those little touches, and it'd be good to see the faces looking more realistic, because that is something everybody does see. So yeah, it'd be good to see some more actual decent looking faces. So now moving on to what is probably one of the most requested features there's been. Take full control of your bike. Pay attention to the tyre wear, fuel consumption and brake temperature to improve your performance and finish the race without unexpected surprises. Obviously that's the same as it has been in MotoGP 21, but the next sentence is where it gets interesting. And with the new ride height device, you can now control the suspensions to lower the centre of gravity and increase acceleration. So you'll actually be able to mess around with the ride height device during the race. Now that's going to be interesting. That is going to be really interesting, because that adds a completely new element to the game. It's also going to be really difficult, because I've always thought when they talk about the ride height device, that must be really difficult to think when you're getting out of a corner every time to put the ride height device down. And something else as well that's worth noting is we're running out of buttons on the controller. We really are. We are really running out of buttons on the controller. Obviously on the keyboard it's not so bad, but on the controller most of the buttons are being used. I mean, you've got the triggers for accelerating brake, you've got the left thumbstick obviously for actually controlling the bike, you've got the D-pad for controlling the electronic settings, so the traction control, anti-wheelie, power mode for example. You've got the face buttons for the gears and the rear brake potentially, or maybe using one of the bumpers for that. But either way, there's not many buttons left, really. The only button that's free, actually, I think, is the right bumper. So I think we're just going to have enough buttons for that. At least for me, obviously, the right bumper. So I think there should be one button that everybody has that's unassigned. Actually, the right bumper, that's the rewind button, I think, actually. Yeah, so I'm not actually sure. But either way, we're getting the ride height device, which is really, really cool. And we've actually got a little bit of gameplay here. So it's not in the trailer, but you can see it's hidden sort of on the website. So we actually get a little look at the heads-up display in the bottom right. So it looks like they've revamped that. It does look quite compact, but that's because they're playing in first person. Even in MotoGP 21 and 20, you got a little compact version of the heads-up display if you're playing in first person. So that's all that is. But you can see it does look actually a little bit cooler. I think the design it's a little bit better than the current one, so it's quite nice. You can see obviously whether the ride height device is enabled or disabled. You can see they're using Z in this case to use it, so they're using a keyboard on the footage. So yeah, it actually will be interesting to see how that goes. There is a few more little bits at the bottom here. So we've got multiplayer online and cross-play challenges. Challenges will be interesting. I don't know exactly what that means. Is there going to be online challenges that we can do, a bit like Ride Forward? It's like weekly challenges, potentially. Cross-play, I'm not going to lie, that's misleading. It says cross-play available between consoles of the same family. Well, that kind of goes without saying because they use the same network, so like it is almost the same game. I mean, I suppose, yeah, alright, you're saying that if you're on a PS5, you can play with PS4 players, and if you're on an Xbox One, you can play with Xbox Series S and X, but cross-play, when you first look at that, that's not what you think, is it? Speaking of multiplayer, they've added split screen, so I think that's the first time since MotoGP 17 that they've had split screen? Not too sure. Obviously, that's not something I'll particularly be using because I play on PC anyway, which is not particularly a split-screeny platform, more of a console thing. But yeah, if you want to play split screen with somebody, you can now. That's always good. I imagine that'll be good fun for some people. Obviously, people maybe playing with their kids, or kids playing with their friends. I feel like that's usually kind of the demographic for that kind of thing. Most of the people just play online, so yeah, that'd be quite cool. I mean, I've never really played split screen in a GP game myself, but yeah, I know it's always quite a requested feature, so it's nice to see they've added that. And that's it for this page. There is another page, but that basically just says the exact same stuff, so yeah, it's actually kind of an abridged version of what we've read. There is actually a little bit more on that tutorial though, so we will just quickly read through this. So the great legacy of the MotoGP video game continues with an amazing new chapter. The full 2022 season, 120 plus official riders, 20 plus official circuits, 70 plus historic riders, and the most beloved features are back, now improved for the best racing experience, but there's much more. Relive one of the most incredible seasons in the MotoGP history with the 9 season 2009. You'll enjoy a real docu-film narrated by Mark Neal, director of the best MotoGP documentaries with more than 50 minutes of original footage from the 2009 season. You will be part of the history, facing dedicated challenges and finding yourself in the boots of legendary riders such as Rossi, Pedrosa, Stoner and Lorenzo. This year, everyone can become a champion. So obviously that's basically just reiterating what we already knew. Obviously it said earlier that there's going to be one for each track, so that means we're getting extra tracks as well. But this is where it talks about the tutorial a bit more. So if you're a newcomer, you can join the revised tutorial, a series of short gameplay sessions with custom rules that will help you understand the basics of the game and feel confident on the bike. Or if you just want to improve your style, the new MotoGP Academy will teach you how to be faster on every track through specific challenges focused on electronics, tyre consumption, brake temperature, and core differences between the main 3 categories. And with the adaptive difficulty system, you'll have an additional support through in-game pop-up messages suggesting how to adapt and modify the difficulty level based on your skills. So again, that's kind of obviously for players that are a bit newer, because most people play with, well, I say most people, but a lot of people have been playing for a long time always just play with the top AI anyway, because the AI don't tend to be good enough to really play on anything lower than that. But if you play it a bit more casually or you're a bit newer, then that's nice. You want to find a difficulty that works for you a bit better. And it says, for the first time in the series, you can challenge your friends on the couch with the 2-player local split screen, or join the online multiplayer and cross-play races through consoles of the same family. But yeah, there you go. That's everything we know about MotoGP 22. I think that might have been quite a long video, actually, because obviously I was reading through all the text and sort of speculating as we went on, but there's quite a lot to take in there. So we're getting some new historic content, new historic challenges, ride height devices. That's the main things, really. Obviously, some new historic tracks. Everything else sounds fairly similar. There is obviously some things to help out beginners as well. But for me personally, that's not really a big feature because it doesn't concern me at all. So yeah, it's looking promising. We know the release date, of course, as well, 21st of April. So not too long to wait now. Obviously, just almost 2 months actually after the initial season starts. So maybe this year they will have enough time to add the liveries, but I hardly doubt it, to be honest. I think we'll still get the 21 liveries to start with before the game gets patched. But yeah, that's pretty much it then for this video. If you are new to the channel, do feel free to drop a like and subscribe, because I'll be doing more content on MotoGP 22 on the run up to the game and once the game is released, of course. So if bike racing content is the content you like to see, then this is the channel for you. And it does really help me out as well if you do like and subscribe. It helps me in the algorithm and stuff. So I do really appreciate it. But hope you guys enjoyed that one. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.